again, but stick around for that special announcement.
Hey y'all, we are Construction Careers Academy and we are excited to share with you our project, Bluebonnet and more. Here's a preview of our main building's exterior, where you'll also notice the details of our site location. Next, we have a preview of the courtyard space designed for taking the dogs out on walks. Our objective in designing this shelter was to effectively support the needs of shelter animals and the community alike. That being said, my name is Adriana Craig and I will be representing our architecture and landscape teams tonight. We noticed a stray dog problem specifically concentrated in the 410-35 intersection on the east side of San Antonio. Stray dog attacks on locals have spiked recently, but our shelter has more than the facilities necessary to alleviate this problem. We initially started out with a 21-acre lot, greatly overestimating the amount of space that we would need. After a few headaches from our drawings not quite lining up with the plot, we narrowed it down to a 4-acre campus layout that fits together like a puzzle. The total square footage of our building spans 22,974 square feet, with our biggest being our medical building at 6,486 square feet. Building A is our main office building and guest entry center, with facilities for guests and employees to be directed to their destination. Building B is our education center for schools to take field trips and learn more about the inner workings of the shelter. Building C is the puppy kennels, offering its own wing of visitation rooms. Building D is the cat kennels with sunrooms for them to lie out in. Building E is the adult dog kennels, allowing a healthy separation from the high energy of the puppies. And finally, Building F is our main medical building with a variety of facilities, including isolation centers and grooming spaces. We went for funky, modern shapes and textures to complement the essence of the design philosophy that we follow for this project, which our interior design team will go into more depth later. And unfortunately, our landscape team could not come up and speak tonight, but they did a great job, so I want to recognize their efforts. They planned and calculated the planning schedule, researched Texas issued codes, and researched efficient and approved ground covers, shrubs, and trees for the area. Shrubs such as the twisted yucca were chosen due to be native to the Texas landscape, while trees like the live oak were chosen due to their amount of shade. 25% of the property must be covered by tree canopy per Texas codes, so the amount of trees in this project reflect this number. You'll see here our landscape plan, including our planning schedule, final 2D render, and tree schedule. So overall, we determined to analyze the best site, created a functional design, and cooperated with other teams to create our final product. Thank you for your time. Next, please welcome our interior design team.
Good evening, my name is Darius Hosto and I will be speaking on behalf of our interior design team. Our goal is to create a space that is not only functional, but also calming and supportive for both our animals and staff. With this in mind, we chose a modern biophilic design to bring nature into our space, but also help reduce stress. We opt to use the colors that many animals can see, such as blues, yellows, and greens, to make a more comfortable and accessible environment for all. A big part of our design was to incorporate natural lighting and organic materials, producing a natural design. On the interior, we used soft fabrics and lighter wood tones that are easy to clean, while on the exterior, we used stone, concrete, and grass to incorporate all of the biophilic design and with the surroundings behind us. We ensured that the interior and exterior design stayed cohesive throughout the project with the assistance of the architecture and construction management teams to have our overall theme and stay within our budget and design. Thank you, and I will pass it on to our civil design team.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Tyler John. I will be representing our civil and structural engineering analysis for this project. To start, we will look at the official site plot with key information and ID numbers to the left as you see. This information is important because it displays not only what we can build on the site, but also how we can develop on the site. This is a floodplain. As you can see, we ensured that the building current placement avoids no flood zones, and as you can see, we're clearly away from any harm. Next, we'll focus on design codes and structural requirements that guided this project. For this project, we specifically looked at 3 important resources. That being the international book, the steel construction manual, and the minimum design loads for building and other structures. These resources are essential because they define how structures are created, how loads are calculated, and how steel members are not only sized, but also constrained. In terms of load types, we analyzed several forces acting on the structure. Dead loads, which are permanent structural elements, live loads like people and furniture, and lateral loads such as wind. For example, we use about 80 PSF for foundation design and 20 PSF for the roof, which are realistic assumptions for this type of structure. Finally, we developed our structural plan including roof framing and foundation system. The design used steel wide beams and girders along the HSS steel columns and bracket frame, which provide both strength and lateral stability. For the roof, we selected metal deck, which is effective and commonly used for industrial buildings. For the foundation, we included concrete beams, slabs, and drilled shafts in each column, ensuring the load are properly transferred into the ground. To wrap it up, there are a few key takeaways we'd like you guys to know. First, we successfully determined and applied the correct design codes. Secondly, we developed a clear understanding of how each load impacts our structure. And lastly, we balanced both design and construction between our fellow teams. At this time, I would now like to pass the presentation over to NEP.
Good evening, my name is Isaiah Salinas and I'll be presenting for the NEP team. We went through various intricate steps when designing the systems placed within the Bluebonnet Animal Shelter and Rescue. And the first of those steps was the plumbing plan. From here, we first calculated how much total water each building would take per day. And from there we decided it would be at best to use a 3-inch service line that we connected from the street into the building. And for our restrooms, we decided to use low-flow, high-efficiency water fixtures, such as our water closets and our laboratory. The second major step was the electrical demand and distribution and how we would calculate that. So from there, we first calculated how much total electricity every building would need. And from there, we decided that it would be best to use underground pad-mounted electrical transformers in order to avoid showing too much mechanical work within the populated areas that people would be within. The final major step was the HVAC system. And we first determined the amount of coolant that would be needed and how to distribute it. We ended up finding that 35 to 40 tons would be needed per building. From there, we determined the distribution system, and we decided to use an external condensing unit for the main building and then switch to rooftop units for the rest of them to avoid mechanical work being shown. And from there, we decided to separate these rooftop units into 2 distinct zones for ease of control and access alongside widening our total distribution zone. For the duration of this project, we learned of things such as how key each member was and the other teams, alongside the safety of the animals and the handlers and how important it was to relay that information from team to team. I will now pass it on to construction manager.
What's up, everyone? My name is Wesley Day. I'm speaking on behalf of construction management. We were tasked with drafting a site logistics plan as well as scheduling and budgeting our construction process. Shown here above is our site logistics plan. After creating some initial drafts emphasizing safety and workflow, we imported the plan into Bluebeam, turning our crude hand sketches into a finalized construction document. After completing our site logistics plan, we broke into 2 groups, tackling on the budgeting and scheduling simultaneously. The goal of this was to mirror the kind of delegation you'll see in real-life construction. The project is being delivered using a construction manager at-risk delivery method. With that in mind, the scheduling group used the Gantt chart to illustrate sequencing of tasks that you might see in the process, from pre-construction all the way to closeout. The budget group gathered material costs and counts from other teams, referring to programs like AutoCAD and Revit. The guaranteed maximum price reflects a 24-month construction duration, including early site and infrastructure activities, as well as specialty shelter requirements. The total GMP is approximately $24.5 million. This budget fully accounts for site conditions, utility tie-ins, specialty chemical equipment, and prevailing construction market conditions here in San Antonio. During this project, we definitely learned the values of communication, not only within our own team, but amongst other teams as well. Overall, we learned the values of strong planning and effective team coordination, as well as just being together. It's necessary in delivering construction work well within time and under budget. We'd like to take a moment to thank our mentors and our champion. They're very helpful in educating us about the construction process. Without them, we wouldn't have been able to do any of this. We were able to pour our passion and creativity and crafting a state-of-the-art facility that not only meets the needs of the community, but also sets a new standard of excellence among the public service installation industry. Thank you all for your moment of your time.
Great job, UCA one, great job. You know, you have a former animal care services director over here. So we're gonna see what Mike Shannon has to say about this.
Yeah, no, I would contribute it. I love it. It was really a beautiful facility. You really hit all the main points needed for an ACS type campus. I'll throw you one question though. In terms of the MEP systems, did you have any conversations of the daily cleaning needs in the kennel buildings and even the medical buildings? It's a constant cleaning of the animals, making it safe for them to be in there for a long period of time. Did you have any conversations with that?
Yes, we did have several conversations about that, such as where we would have to put things like hoses for cleaning down dog kennels, so things such as urine, feces, things of that nature, yes.
I think the key is, it's like a hospital system. You gotta have the air handling's gotta be many times a certain hour. Thomas, I don't know what the details of that is, but I know it's gotta be a very clean environment, make sure there's no disease and so forth.
And as for what he said with exhaust systems, we do have specialized exhaust systems for our animal kennels and areas such as that.
That's great. Other questions from the panel?
I was gonna add on really to what Mike was saying, the maintenance on that, cleaning the filters, you know, how often you have to change those, don't replace significantly, so you can be regular, that kind of stuff. I did want to point out how I really like the way y'all put thought into not seeing overhead power lines, so you thought about going underground, how to locate the HVAC system to be outside outline. So I thought y'all put a lot of thought into that, I appreciate that.
Thanks so much, sir.
Last thing I was going to comment on was I really liked the thought that went into the site logistics plan. It was a much more detailed version, and it really showed thought. Like he had muster points. Like it was very real to what a real site logistics plan looks like. So, can you talk about a little bit the thought process of how you put that together?
So our main thought process was safety, not only for our workers, but for the public as well. We wanted to place everything in an area that was most convenient, emphasizing safety and workflow, of course, and having considered traffic and like maybe someone who like wants to get on site. So yeah.
That's great. All right, thanks for bringing us home. CCA one. All right, hey, a couple of quick things. We have a final announcement. I'll get to you in just a minute. But, you know, it seemed like it was just a few months ago. We just getting started this year. Now we're wrapping it up. But it's a special thanks to all the parents, all the school champions and teachers, all the students, the mentors that have been involved throughout this last 5 months. It's a big deal. There's a lot of things that you as students could be involved in and are in that are extracurricular. And we thank you for making ACE part of it, because you know this is the 20th year of ACE in San Antonio, and there are so many former ACE high schoolers that are now in the profession. They're engineers, they're architects, they're construction managers, interior decorators, designers. They're all throughout San Antonio and beyond, and so it's a great track record. And 50% of our ACE students are young ladies. Let's hear it for the young ladies. 90% of our participants are minority students, which is awesome. Many students are first generation going to college. And I will tell you, and we were talking with the panelists, what you all know as students is 1, 2, 3 years ahead of your colleagues when you go to college. So it's a big deal. So thanks for being part of it. Thanks for everybody being part of it. So we want to announce, with this 20-year anniversary, we have our annual banquet coming up. And in your program, there's a link to that. You can find out more about it. But at the annual banquet, it's a dress-up thing. We celebrate the year, and we give out out college scholarships and other awards, and so it's really a big deal. So that's coming up. I think we got a slide for that. Right? Slide for the annual banquet. They're looking at me. Enough of that. So yeah, May 13th coming up. Take a look at your program. You'll see information there. Companies can still sponsor that and so forth. But again, thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for being part of ACE. And thank you to our panelists for being here as well.